Well, Gold Derby fans, he is an expert at capturing all of the charisma, uniqueness, nerve, and talent that the Queens display on RuPaul's Drag Race. And now he is back, once again nominated for cinematography for a reality series. I'm Sam Eckmann of Gold Derby. With me is Michael Jacob Kerber. Thanks so much for sitting with me, and congratulations on that nomination. And you know, this show in the workroom, it just always seems like there's so much to go on, so much going on rather, and there's so many queens, especially at the start of the show. I would feel daunted by how do I capture all of these queens at once in the workroom. So what actually is your camera setup like, and how do you go about following so many queens at once?
That's a great question. Thanks, Sam. Happy to talk with you and be here. Yeah, the workroom and the verite in the workroom is especially challenging because first and foremost, I think our team, we strive to capture every moment we possibly can, to tell the stories of these amazing queens. And there's no redos. I mean, we have to capture it as it happens. So we coordinate, pretty intricately with ourselves, the director, Nick Murray, the amazing story team, Mish and Jacqueline. And we really try to position ourselves in zones that we know are kind of prime areas for the queens to do their work and have their discussions. And then if we need to make adjustments, we try to do it in the, the least intrusive way we possibly can. And without, when you have that many cameras, if one camera moves, you have to be aware of what everyone else is shooting at a given moment, and that you're not ruining another conversation that might be happening. So it's a lot to coordinate, but we have a great team, and we've gotten really good at communicating with each other, even on the floor, in the workroom. Yeah.
There's, I think you have some cameras actually in the mirrors, if I'm not mistaken, to capture a lot of the emotional moments that happen while they're getting ready. And I always wonder, like, is it hard for certain queens? Like, do you capture them sort of like staring at cameras or getting self-conscious that they're there? Is there like a learning curve for them with that?
It's interesting. Yes, I would say at times I've found them being somewhat aware of the cameras there. And then, to be honest, it feels like they kind of forget, they're getting ready and they're so focused on their makeup or their hair and the other queens in the room that I think that awareness kind of falls away. And it is a really nice space to kind of get some of those intimate moments and conversations and really see some of the intricacies of the makeup they're doing, which is incredible. So yeah, it provides a nice vantage point.
And I should say, it's not just the workroom that you're capturing. The challenges on this show really kind of run the gamut from everything. There's challenges on the main stage. There's challenges that take place outdoors. There's some on a sound stage, and it could be acting. It could be a big musical. They just think of so many things for this. So do you have like a bag of tricks you fall back on for if this is a main stage challenge, we're going to kind of set it up like this? How do you sort of take on the fact that there's so many different setups that are needed?
Yes. Well, my background in cinematography is varied. I've shot, features and scripted shorts, music videos, commercials. So personally, I have a background in many different genres. So I usually draw from some of that as much as possible. I mean, obviously it's not quite the same considerations, given that we are still a reality competition show, and we have to capture the verite often in the same setups as we're capturing whether it be, a commercial that the queens are doing, or a music video, or kind of a sitcom, so you kind of have to be able to do this hybrid. And Jenny Bloom, the lighting designer for season 12, and the gaffer Christian Killingsworth, I enjoy collaborating with them because they also have, backgrounds in other genres, and we're able to figure out ways to light a given challenge that can kind of serve both, give it a look and give it some drama, but also make sure we're illuminated when we have to, cover, let's say, a queen getting acting notes from the director. So it is challenging, and it makes it fun. I mean, you know, to be honest, when assembling a camera team to do this show, they all have to have like a wide range of skills to be able to operate handheld documentary, you know, working on a dolly in a much more cinematic way, doing runway, stage, which is as live, and you have to have everything in focus and follow the action, and you don't always know what the queens are going to do. And then an ability to tell a story narratively. If we're doing an acting challenge, it's kind of coming with that mindset of, you know, what that operating needs to be and what that cinematography needs to be. So yeah, it makes it fun. It keeps us on our toes, and we love the challenge. I'm fond of RuPaul's quote about, you know, having this box of crayons with all the colors, and, you know, he tells the queens, and you have to be ready to use all of them. And I kind of feel that way about our the crew on the show. You know, James, the production designer, myself, Jenny, lighting. It's like we all have to be ready to use all the tricks. So it's fun. Yeah.
It seems like, at least to my viewer's eye, it seems like the biggest, most complicated productions were like the Madonna musical, because there's so many queens that are still in the competition at that point coming out, and the Viva Drag Vegas. So when you have these massive production numbers on the main stage, which is, as you said, quite different from, you know, working on a handheld in the workroom and capturing in the moment things, what is the preparation process like for these huge production sequences? Do you get to rehearse with the actual queens?
There, you know, often we don't quite have as much rehearsal time as we would like, on camera, that is. The queens sometimes do off-camera rehearsals that we watch and are able to, you know, come up with approaches to photographing and lighting. But I'll be honest, the crew is incredible at learning the choreography and the camera moves and assignments, and, you know, figuring out the lighting design in a very quick amount of time. And then we usually can run through a number maybe twice. So we just kind of have to, you know, nail it. And I mean, it's kind of the same pressure that the queens are under. You know, they don't always have a lot of time to learn these things and figure it out. So we're all kind of, you know, running at 100, making sure that we can, you know, bring 100% on the day that we're photographing it. So it's hard. I mean, I think Nick Murray, the director, he is great at being able to watch the choreography without cameras, you know, work with the choreographer, talk to the choreographer about certain moments, sometimes collaborating in order to change something that might work better for camera. And then again, you know, translating that and communicating that to all the camera operators, and then they, you know, they have to do their job and nail it. So yeah, but I'm lucky to work with an amazing crew. So
the part that would feel like most scary to me is capturing the lip sync for your lives, because it's, of course, completely, you don't know what queens are going to be there. You don't know what they'll do with the song. Is it like, some of them are super dance heavy and they're all over the stage. Some of them, like, you know, if it's like Jackie Cox and Widow Von Du, it's more about just all the emotion, and it's a much more simple performance. What is that experience like, not knowing what's going to happen on stage and not knowing what kind of story you're going to have to capture?
I'd say it's exciting. I'd say there's always kind of a buzz. I mean, it's actually, I should say, it's a combination of feelings, because often I think everyone on the crew, you know, you love these queens. You start to like and want everyone to just stay forever, you know? So lip sync, you know that someone's going to go home. So you're kind of sad, but there's a buzz and an excitement about two queens about to just do, like, give it their all. And that's incredible. So, and obviously we, as the camera team, have to capture it, and it's only going to happen once, and we don't know what they're going to do. So that's when it's just like the skill of being able to follow action and anticipate how a queen tends to move, or knowing that they love to do like the death drop or the shablams, so they might at any moment just drop completely down onto the floor and be ready for that. Or if it is someone who's doing more intimate, things with their face and their eyes, being there for that and making sure everything's in focus and framed correctly, and just doing right by the queens, really. It's like, that's our number one thing, is to showcase them. So we never want to hinder that, or not be there to capture it.
Yeah, it's, because you talk about falling in love with these queens, and I'm kind of wondering, because there's so many personalities on display, and they're all fighting for their time, they're all fighting for their story, their narrative to be told. So how do you sort of see yourself within that, in terms of, like, does the camera start favoring certain people? Are you drawn to things, or is there a method behind kind of keeping it equitable?
Yeah, I mean, there is. I think it's like we stay objective as far as like our documentation. There's no, we don't favor like one or the other in terms of shots. So it's really up to whatever dialogues they're having, and the stories that they're telling, and us to be there no matter what. But yeah, I mean, we have, like, when we're shooting the show, I mean, the crew will talk at lunch, we'll talk about, like, oh my gosh, did you see, Gigi's outfit on the, like, that was incredible. Or, I mean, we talk about it. We can't help but be invested in it. But as far as photographing it, I mean, we treat everyone the same, and are there to capture whoever's doing whatever in a given moment.
And you've been with the show for a very long time. I think you started out just as a camera operator with it. So when you look at your first experience with the show, now to being DP, how has that experience changed and evolved the most for you?
The beginning, I mean, the first season was quite different, and it was so new for everyone, and such an incredible world for me to be exposed to. And I think as the show gained popularity, and the production value grew, it was fun to be able to bring more tools to it, I guess, and have a little more resource to get different lights, and to have different sets and things like that. So I mean, that was kind of the most obvious change. And over the years, it's still ramped up. I mean, it wasn't just like 1 and then 2 and then we were there. I mean, it's been like this build. And I think a lot of things really kind of gelled starting around season 10. It felt like this, like, really great place that we had arrived at. And for me, I mean, the relationship with Ru it's so joyful. I love it. Working with Ru is just, I think everyone really appreciates his energy, and he's just a great human. So it's fun to, like, work really hard for someone that's inspiring that way. And yeah, we've gotten better. I mean, you kind of learn over the years, like going back to the workroom, the best way to cover that reality and verite. We learn what angles have worked well on a given challenge. Like if they're doing the fashion show, figuring out this dynamic move that works, and being able to replicate that. Same with the lip syncs, figuring out the best way to cover that with the number of cameras we have. So there has been learning, and kind of like, how can we do this better every season? I know Jenny and myself, like, before the start of the seasons, we would talk and say, okay, like, how could we'd like to make this better? What can we do? How can we figure out other ways that would elevate it within the budget that we have? And, I think everyone approaches it that way. I think James McGowan, the production designer, it's the same thing. He's always looking, like, watching the season, how can we make this more interesting? Or what texture or color can I add to this corner of the workroom? Or all of that. And we're all constantly trying to up it. So
Well, the Emmy voters have definitely taken notice because you have 3 consecutive nominations for cinematography for the series. What does it kind of feel like for you to be continually recognized like that?
It's amazing. I am forever grateful and just honored. I mean, it's incredible. I don't know how else to really describe it. I mean, I think I I recognize all of the hard work and the dedication that I've put in, but it's a shared nomination. You know, it takes a village to make this show, and there's so many people that are responsible for making it look great. So I feel I would have to, you know, honor them in terms of the nomination, as well as if we do win it one of these years. Of course, there's many people to thank and that should be appreciated. And the camera team, you know, I mean, all the operators that are also sharing in this nomination. I mean, they've put in a lot of hard work, and I really respect their contributions and their abilities to, you know, I'm someone that appreciates dialogue and input and suggestions. So there's a collaboration there with them. They see things that I might not see in a given moment because there is so much going on, and they can share those ideas or observations with me, and then we try to make things, improve things or adjust things. So I really am so thankful to have a great team. Yeah, but yeah, it's fun. You know, it's going to be sad not being able to do the governor's ball and the actual like Emmy ceremony in person this year. I think everyone's probably very kind of sad about that, but you know, what can you do?
Well, it'll look different this year, but still a great honor. So congratulations on
Thank you so much.
there. Yeah. So everyone who's out there watching, make sure you subscribe to Gold Derby. Keep up to date with us throughout Emmy season. And Michael, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you very much.